All these cables, the ones that have to be plugged in, and then everything else has to be hidden away somewhere. If it can't hide back there behind that side panel, then it has to be hidden up here somewhere, because we want to stop anything from blocking airflow that would possibly. So, got the power supply in, got the cable hidden temporarily for right now, and as you can see, even the 12-volt auxiliary is in, which is a good idea to do this now, because once you get the heatsink, CPU and heatsink in place, getting to that plug is a real pain in the ass. So it's right down there. There's our big 20 plus 4 pin main ATX power connector. And again, this is just to provide power to the motherboard mostly, you know, all the different components of the motherboard. Whereas this plug down here, I don't know if you can see where I'm pointing or not, but it's the yellow and black wires. It's a 4-pin connector. On some board it's an 8-pin connector, and that goes to provide power solely to the CPU. Provides power to the power regulation circuitry, which then in turn provide power to the CPU. Without this wire plugged in, it will not work. So here is the Intel Core i5 750 out of the box. Here you can see the heatsink assembly they use, which is very small. And here is the processor itself, packaged mainly the same way all other Intel processors are packaged. Little separate plastic bubble package. There's an interesting look at 1156 pin pads. Here's our Core i5 750, 2.66 gigahertz stock processor. Again, this is an LGA 1156 socket, which means it shares its architecture with Core i7. Core i3 uses a different socket entirely. And there you can see 1156 individual pads where the pins of the socket rest on when you have it put down into the socket. Interesting. So the processor is in. All I gotta do is pop that heatsink and fan down. I'm not even gonna bother getting rid of the stock heatsink paste and replacing it, because Intel uses Shin-Etsu G751, which is pretty much the best heatsink paste ever. So I'm just going to plop this baby down. Save me a step. Now here's our socket 1156, LGA 1156 heatsink, stock Intel. As you can see, it's got a copper base with aluminum fins radiating out from it. Has Shin-Etsu G751 already applied, so I'm not going to bother scraping that off. I'm applying something new. That's pretty much the best stuff. We're ready to go. So basically the way this goes on there, the heatsink, Intel stock heatsink goes on there, is not complicated at all. If you look here, you have 4 pins, 1, 2, 3, 4, and these go through the 4 holes that you see around the CPU socket on the motherboard. So what you want to do is plop it down there and just line up those holes so that it's loosely sitting in all those holes. Don't push down on the pins. You just want to get it lined up with those 4 holes right now. It may take a little bit of wiggling around, but you'll eventually get it. Like I have it now. Actually, I don't. I have one side. Get this other side done. Just being a bitch. There we go. Now we have it. It's just loosely sitting there. So once you've got it sitting in those 4 holes, kind of hold down the heatsink, just gentle pressure here, and then start pushing in the pins. There's one. You'll hear and feel a distinct click, and you do it in a cross pattern, kind of like you're tightening the lug nuts on a car, only you're pushing in pins. 2, 3, and 4. And now the heatsink is secured to the CPU and to the motherboard. It's actually secured to the motherboard and it's pushing on the CPU, which is what we want it to do. So now all you have to do is, here's the fan cable I've unwound from the way it was wound around the heatsink, and you basically just need to route it some way so that the cable will stay out of the way and won't get in the fan while it's turning. What I like to do is take the cable, pull it out like this, and then start twisting it. And twist it and twist it and twist it until you've got it nice and twisted cable. And pull it tight, but not so tight that you're trying to yank the wires out of the deal. Just tight enough to hold it out straight. I'll probably give it another 6 or 7 more turns. There we go, that should be good enough. And it will come out a little bit, that's why I twisted it a bunch. And then you just want to kind of wrap it around things so that it's not going to be in the way. And that's what I need to do, and I need 2 hands. I actually just decided to use a little twist tie because the CPU power fan connector is so close to the CPU and it's in a different position than it usually is. So I just used a twist tie, one that made sure that it's not going to come loose anytime. And there we go. So now the CPU, technically I could put in a video card and power this thing. Well, actually no, I need to do memory, and I'm getting there. Here is our 4 gigabyte kit of G-Skill Ripsaw DDR3 memory. That's what it looks like without the stickers on it, or Ripjaw, whatever it's called. Definitely got a unique design with the built-in heatsink, which is good. I like that because especially when you have more than 2 sticks, you have 4 sticks crammed together or 6 sticks crammed together, it can generate a lot of heat, and having this bit of heatsink up here helps to cool the sticks of memory off. So we'll drop those. Putting in memory is fairly easy. We're going to be using the blue slots because I believe those are the primary slots for dual channel memory. You want to make sure you have your memory oriented so that the small side is on the small side, and you don't want to try and shove your memory in the wrong way. And just fit it down in the slot and push. One side, other side, and then we'll do the same thing with the other stick. There you guys can see that. One side. There we go. Now we'll push them down. Click, click. And they're nice and in there. Plenty of room to breathe, and this is 4 gigs of RAM, which is plenty enough for Kevin. But should he ever want to, he could get another identical kit and have 8 gigs of RAM. Perfectly capable. And memory is cheap. So now I'll plug in a video card. Somebody's already been into this box. The seal's broken on it. I have a feeling that would be Rory Jake, because he's only got a 3850. So I'm sure he wanted to check it out and see what it looked like. Sorry, I have to do this one-handed. And there is our